O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Finding the right Medicare plan may feel impossible, but now it's anything but. With Walgreens Find RX coverage tool, you can compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, making Medicare easier than ever. Easier than picking which true crime doc to watch, figuring out that Wi-Fi password, or putting the duvet cover back on. So if you can do those things, with Find RX coverage, you can definitely Medicare. Find the plan that's right for you by visiting walgreens.com/Medicare.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Is it Wednesday? It's Tuesday. It's just Tuesday. Oh my gosh. That's the kind of week I'm having, Lady B, is it just feels like so many things happening. I hope that you're all happy, healthy, and safe wherever you are right now. And I want to remind you that this is your conversation. And I know that sometimes you have something in your mind and you wait, you think about it for a bit and you want to wait and see what the show is about. Let me encourage you, if you have something you want to chat about during the show, please call now. 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. There's a lot going on, and there's always something on our minds collectively, and let's see what's on your mind individually. I'm asking you to call as soon as you can if you have something on your mind, because coming up at 5:30, we are going to have our Neighbor Patty segment. During the pandemic, I turned my Facebook page. I had a political page. I ran for 19th District State Rep, and I thought, I have all these great supporters, this great community. What can I use this page for, or what can I amplify? And I turned it into Neighbor Patty, which is a place where I have interviewed and supported a lot of local businesses, spoken to community leaders, and I want to bring some of that to this show. By the way, on Facebook, you can go to Neighbor Patty, so you'll find a lot of those conversations and interviews with great small business owners has been my favorite thing to talk about, and talk to these folks who have weathered the pandemic, and not just how they weathered the pandemic. I've talked to small business owners about how they got started, what it took to really establish themselves, and how they've evolved over the years, and then what they had to do to be nimble and adjust to the restraints of the pandemic. So coming up at 5:30, we are going to talk to one of my favorite guests on Neighbor Patty, and that's Kasia from Kasia Bridals. She is celebrating her 20 years this month, 20 years in business, and she's going to be supporting the Chicago Food Depository this month. So we want to talk to her about that, how she got involved with supporting that organization, which, of course, in November, we often think of all the families who have been struggling, who we want to make sure can celebrate Thanksgiving. And we also want to remember, when we support organizations like the Greater Chicago Food Depository, that this is something that is year-long. And so when we make these donations in November, try to make that a year-long effort, because people need it all year long. And yes, it is something we focus on during the holidays, and let's keep that energy going all year long. So we'll talk to Kasia about that, as well as her we talk about social media, and if you wonder, like, how does somebody get something to go viral? You have to check out her TikTok page, where she shares some great stories about her business, about her family, about clients that she's had, and I love following her story time. So that's coming up at 5:30. And let's Dave from Hoffman Estates, because this ticked me off too. Dave, what do you want to talk about?
Today, about I got thinking this morning about it. You think about in the last 42 maybe years, some of the most infectious killer diseases that have killed countless Americans were allowed to take hold and spread like wildfire, and it was each of them were under Republican administrations. AIDS, under Reagan, back when they first thought, it's just a gay cancer that's going to kill them, all of them off, and not to worry. And then, now with Trump with the COVID-19, he could have done a whole lot more. And where they first thought that was going to take care of blacks and the blue states, those that are voting Democrats.
That was some of what we learned from either Bob Woodward's books or other folks who have come forward to say that once he first thought that it was going to be a pandemic amongst the blue areas of the country, urban areas, and then when it turned out to be the places where they didn't want to have mitigating factors in place, whether it was masking, social distancing, as simple as washing your hands or taking it seriously, it was already too late. That genie was out of the bottle.
Yeah, so just got to thinking that two of the worst killer diseases that we've had in 4 decades, basically, each time was under Republican rule.
Well, are you thinking about AIDS because of what David Prager said about how imagine if AIDS patients and gay people were treated and vilified in the same way that people who are anti-vaccination and anti-mask were, and it made my head. I couldn't even read the rest of it or want to contemplate it because look, I'm a kid of the 70s and 80s. Ryan White would be about my age, and I remember all of the awful things that were said about people who just want to be loved. I mean, the disdain, the dismissiveness from the Reagan administration, like you're saying, and just writing it off as something that only attacked gay people was horrendous, and some really nasty, awful things. But this goes to the same thing about how they want to put out CRT out there as something that, we don't want to be our kids to hate white people. It's not about hating, and this isn't even about hating Republicans for what happened during the AIDS crisis, at the height of the AIDS crisis. It's about being realistic and learning from it and saying, and you know what? I want to hear Republicans who behave that way say, you know what, I was wrong. I shouldn't have behaved that way. And again, this goes to what I've talked about Democrats. With new information, we go, you know what, I hadn't thought of that. I was mistaken. But they do not want to remember that they were ignorant and awful.
Yeah, and then also during that time, too, it was like, thank God I only got herpes.
Oh, gee, okay.
Remember? That was
who said that? It was Trump said that, wasn't it? Didn't Trump say something about his Vietnam was?
He compared it to Vietnam.
Yes.
His not getting any sexually transmitted disease, STDs, that time.
Ugh, yuck.
I think he said that on Howard Stern or something.
Yeah. Again,
anyway,
disgusting.
Let you get to the others, but I just thought that was just kind of rattling. The BB was rattling around there. So.
I'm glad that you called in, Dave. Have a great afternoon, great evening. You as well. Thank you so much, Dave. And we've got Michael in Chicago. Hi, Michael. How's your evening going?
Well, pretty good. Thanks for taking my call. I'd like to say we got to get more people voting.
Yes.
And one way to get more people voting is to talk about 17-year-old kids, high school seniors, voting in the primary elections in 24 states in the United States right now. Now, Illinois has it. We have 17-year-old kids voting. Ohio, Indiana, many states. Now, a lot of people think that in the United States, if you vote, you have to be 18 years old to vote in any election. But this is not true. In the last 10 or 15 years, like I say, 24 states have instituted 17-year-old voting in the primary election. But the ruling is there's a kind of a catch to it. It's not all 17-year-old kids. It's the older ones. The formula is that a 17-year-old who wants to vote, he can vote in the primary, but only if he becomes 18 years old before the general election, which is November 8th, 2022. If you're old enough, if you made your 18th birthday by November 8th, you could vote in the general election, and you could also vote in the corresponding primary election. But that's like at least some of the 17-year-old kids, about half of them.
Yep.
That's the formula that's used. And I'd just like to say again, some of these states, I'll mention them that have 17-year-old voting: Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, Maryland, Colorado, and Nevada. And now, to get more information on it and to make sure I'm giving out correct information, because when I talk to people, sometimes they say I can't be telling the truth because they've never heard of this. It's never on ABC News or CNN or NBC. They're never talking about 17-year-old kids voting. But I tell people to go to Google and Google in 17-year-olds voting in the USA, and you get 25 to 30 articles about this by nonprofit organizations, nonpartisan organizations, and they'll all agree to the 24 states, and the fact that you got to become 18 years old before the general election, then you could vote in the general and in the corresponding primary. So what do you think? Isn't it a good idea
Yes.
to mention, to talk about, get these 17-year-old kids voting? Because they're going to vote liberal. They're very progressive in their viewpoints.
Well, here's one. Younger people do tend to look at the world from they have access to so much more information. There's really no reason not to know anything anymore. Thank you to Google and other search engines. Some of the states that you're mentioning, and I'm looking at the map right now. Folks can go to ballotpedia.org as well. And you're right, Michael. If you Google where can 17-year-olds vote, and this is correct. As long as they're turning 18 by the time of the general election, they are permitted to vote in the primaries. But there are a lot of deep red states, and I'll bet you there's a lot. I mean, I remember, I've never told this story on the air, and I don't know. I'm in the neighborhood, so it's a little weird, Michael. But one of the doors that I rang when I was running for state rep, this guy opened the door, and he very much was like, give me your pitch, because I control, and Lady B, this is what he said, I control 7 votes in this house. And because he basically said all the, his wife, his daughter, whoever it was that he was counting for, he was a decision maker. I guarantee you that's here in Chicago. It has to be that way in parts that are deep red, where they can, and look, every person can go into the polling place and vote what they believe and tell their dad or whoever says I control these votes. But a lot of people are not. Based on tradition, on religion, whatever it is. So yes, for the most part, I would say in places, hopefully younger people are voting with their conscience because they have more information, because they are ready to move forward. I hope that they are voting in ways that move our country in a direction that is best for everyone. And of course, I mean that progressive. But go to ballotpedia.org, everyone, or Google, as Michael said, states where you can vote if you're 17. I love it. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention and reminding folks to get your young. And Illinois is one of them, and so is Indiana.
Right. Get more people voting. The young people, 17, 18, 19, will try to win these elections for the progressive Democrats. Yeah, if we get more people voting.
Exactly. I agree. Thank you for this. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, call again, all right? To remind people, get your kids out to register to vote. Have a great night, Michael.
Bye-bye.
Take care. And let's take a quick break here. We'll continue our phone calls when we come back. Jim's on hold, so he'll be the first one out of the gate, just so he knows. I like to say that so that people know that if they're on hold, I'm going to get to their call when we come back. You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820, and I'm excited that you're here. More in a moment.
This is Joan Esposito, and here at WCPT, we love pets. So much that we're spotlighting an adoptable, adorable dog or cat every month. So many deserving pets are waiting for their forever home. We've partnered with community shelters and our sponsors, Love for Dogs Pet Grooming and Mark Drugs, to talk about why rescue is best. It's all on Joan Esposito Live, Local and Progressive. See our current adoptable at WCPT820.com.
Finding the right Medicare plan may feel impossible, but now it's anything but. With Walgreens Find RX coverage tool, you can compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, making Medicare easier than ever. Easier than picking which true crime doc to watch, figuring out that Wi-Fi password, or putting the duvet cover back on. So if you can do those things, with Find RX coverage, you can definitely Medicare. Find the plan that's right for you by visiting walgreens.com/Medicare.
I'm Dr. Andrea Russo, a cardiologist. Maybe you're waiting to talk to your doctor right now. But if you're having an irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, don't wait. This could be a serious condition like atrial fibrillation, which can make you about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you're having these symptoms, don't wait. Talk to a doctor by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer. Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
My friend Marty, he wants to split the party. He wants blue folks in red states to vote green. I can see his point, though I really gotta say, no, we can't have another 2016. It seems nothing beats orange, nothing even freaking rhymes with it. What's a battered nation supposed to do? His Royal Orange Highness, he does love to divide us. We gotta stick together and vote blue. When I recycle, I'm green, green as green can be. I do my level best, yes, it's true. But when I'm voting in November...
If you're watching on our Facebook page, you can see just how giddy music from Steve Goody makes me. I love his music. That's Steve Goody. You can go to stevegoody.com for his album, all of his albums. This one is off What I Did During My Pandemic Vacation, and I want to thank my friend Roger for texting me and saying that he was giggling at the song. And we've got some texts coming in and some calls. Jim has been on hold, and I appreciate that you are willing to be patient with me. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind?
Oh, hi, Patty.
Hi.
I'm just thinking about comedy. Is it the opposite? Is in the face of tragedy we can make somebody laugh, or is it? Is Shakespeare right? Brevity is the soul of wit.
Ooh.
But my point being that if you're with somebody that's very ill and you can make them laugh, I think it's a marvelous thing. And it's just, what is laughter, really? Where does it come from? Is it the opposite? Is the opposite of tragedy? What do you think, dear? You're a comedian. Well, anyway, I think.
Yeah, no, we can have this. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? I love talking comedy. For those just joining our show, if you're not familiar with me, I have been a stand-up comedian for 27 years. Just off the top of my head, one of the things that I would say about what makes people laugh is the unexpected. Something that is illogical. I mean, the idea is a comic wants you to, they lure you onto the rug, and then they yank it out from under you. That's not like in a mean way, although some comics might have mean humor, but it's just to sort of surprise you and you're kind of comfortable. And for me, what I love about comedy is that when you can lower someone's guard with humor and laughter, you might be able to get something in there that they had never thought of, a perspective, a point of view that perhaps they've never been introduced to. And that's why I love doing stand-up comedy so much. And my comedy... Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
have you ever been in a situation where I'll give an example. I was in 7th grade. I wrote Queen for a Day. I did a spoof by Queen for a Day. And I thought there were hysterical lines in the play. And the lines that I didn't expect got just hilarious laughter. I mean, has that ever happened to you where you didn't expect to laugh and something? Yeah, well, that's my point. That was my point there.
Yeah, well, that's
you know what I mean?
The greatest laugh as a comedian is the one where you don't expect, like you didn't even know how funny the thing was, because we often write material that we expect or hope someone to laugh, and then when they don't, we can get kind of caught off guard, especially if it's worked for other audiences, and then it throws people off. Like you'll hear a comic, especially if we're younger or newer or a little green, that where they expect the laugh and then they have trouble recovering because they weren't. There's a comfort you have to get as a comic, and Lewis Black taught me to appreciate the silence because it means that they're listening, and that's very hard for a comedian to remember because we want the audience to always be laughing, and there are some comics that are absolutely genius. So when you say brevity, and that can be true, you'd be surprised how many jokes do better with less words, but it depends on what kind of comedian you are. You know, there are one-liner writers like Henny Youngman would be from a previous generation. My generation of comics would be Mitch Hedberg, for example. My favorite joke is he's a bit of a kind of a stoner. If you ever see him, he's great. But he would say, "This shirt is dry clean only," which means which means this shirt is dirty. right? So you expect like him to, like any other comic might launch into this whole thing, but how brief is that, right? We can all identify with, I'm not washing that thing. It costs too much money. But you could go into all those different reasons why you don't go to the dry cleaners. His is just bang, it's dirty. All the other stuff is implied, and that's brevity.
I appreciate you, Dirk, for picking your brain. Thank you very much.
Anytime. I could talk about comedy for hours. You kidding me? Thank you so much, Jim. I actually, Lady B, will be introducing a new segment soon. There's a comedian named Bill Gorgo who is simply brilliant, and we went out to lunch, and he was telling me some of the things that were on his mind that were frustrating him, and I was like, these are great conversations for the audience. So we are going to have a segment called Bill of Rights with my friend Bill Gorgo. So we'll do that once a month and check in with Bill and see what's on his mind. I have a friend named Dan who I believe is watching right now on our Facebook page as I say hi to everybody there. Our friend Carmen Navarro Garcon, and by the way, Carmen, let me know if I'm saying your name correctly. She's running for sheriff. Cook County Sheriff, yes. So hopefully we'll talk to her. There are 2 women running, and I'm excited about that race. It's always good to elevate what the issues are that are important to people. And Christy says that glad for the time change where now I have an opportunity to listen in. Hi, Christy. Where are you listening from? I'd love to find out. Heather, yes, Lewis Black is Lewis Black is one of my favorite humans on the planet and a very good friend of mine. And I should call him. I never like to call favors in with my friends that are I just consider I don't have all my friends on the show, but yes, I will reach out to Lewis and see if he can join us sometime soon. I was going to mention my friend Dan. Dan's got to come on sometime. Dan Silkowski has we used to do a segment called I Gotta Know, and he would ask the audience, basically when you see this happen. One of them was about being in a restaurant. And how long do you give a server? And this is different now because we talked about this before the pandemic, before there was a shortage of workers. But how long do you give a server before you leave a restaurant because they haven't greeted your table? How long do you, I got to know, how long do other people, because some people might wait the entire, an hour and just be like, you know what? Nowadays, obviously, we're more patient. If you're a good person, you're patient with restaurants and any retail because you know that they are struggling, they're trying to stay open. And I hope that we are all adjusting to that fact. The supply chain is affecting a lot of small businesses. So be aware of what others are going through. And that, again, goes to this conversation, this ongoing conversation we have for those who are listening, who are conservative and just checking in and thinking, what are these socialist commies talking about? We're talking about empathy. We're talking about listening to each other. We're talking about how to make life better for people, and really the conversations that everybody should be having. What it is? How can I help? I wish that was, and while you may not believe it, my perception of what being a liberal is how can I help people? How can I make life better for everyone? And it's not always easy. You have to remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. Some people get burned out trying to help. Maybe they get frustrated. They don't see things change. They figure, why does it matter? Why should I bother voting? And to Michael's point about getting our young folks involved, young people, whether it's registered to vote, making sure that they do vote, it's easy to become cynical and decide that your vote doesn't matter. I have siblings who do not vote because and I'm like, are we made of different genetics? Okay, but it is something where we need to keep showing up. I've said this before. I believe that conservatives are ruthless, and I don't think that. I don't have that in me to sustain the ruthlessness, but I do have the energy to keep showing up, to keep talking about it, to keep trying to help. We have to be relentless. And that's what it comes down to. They are ruthless. We have to be relentless and showing up with the messaging. Nobody has the market on patriotism and patriotism in the sense that they use propaganda. And let's use Colin Kaepernick as an example. The idea that a man who wanted to shine a light on the pain, the injustice of how black people are treated in routine traffic stops or any situation where law enforcement is often called. Look, the day before George Floyd was murdered, Do you remember it was only the day before when there was a woman in Central Park who was calling the police and screaming, and he had it all on video. She's like, he's coming after me. There's a black man. People call the police as a weapon against black people because they're afraid, or they feel like they have that's their role in society, is to say that this black person is doing something that intimidates me, and now I must put their life in danger. And that's part of what Colin Kaepernick was talking about. And I do want to, I know that our friend Carmen is watching. I'd love to have her in because she's got a great perspective on what it means to be in law enforcement, to be aware and acknowledge the things that are going on. And I'm not going to speak for Carmen. She's on the Facebook Live feed. But we have to be able to have conversations. Democrats should not be afraid to have questions, to be able to have input. And I get tired of being cornered and driven to this area, this space where if we question, then we are anti-law enforcement. I have grown up with police officers and firefighters. I'm in a community where my neighbors who I love, who I worry about every time I see a news story, I don't know why we're not allowed to talk about it. So it's, you know what? I've come right up to the break. I've got to take a break here. When we come back, let me do this. Our friend Jerry, who will be on the show on Thursday, I try to live by one basic principle. We all do better when we all do better. And I think that's what it comes down to. Let's take a break here and meet Kasia. Well, we've met her before, but maybe you haven't. So Kasia from Kasia's Bridals will be in studio, and look forward to that conversation on our Neighbor Patty segment in a moment.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Lower your energy bills and reduce your carbon footprint with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago traffic update.
Inbound Eden's bumper to bumper from Dempster down to the Kennedy Merge. Lake Hook Road down to the junction 4417 on the flip. Now the Kennedy outbound is jammed out to Sayre. 21 to the junction 17 and the express 41 to O'Hare. Inbound crawling. O'Hare back in hour and 26 minutes. 48 minutes alone on and from the junction. Ike outbound heavy from Ashland to 25th Avenue. From the Circle to 390 an hour 2. Inbound stop and go from Wolf to 1st Avenue with the crash. 390 back in an hour and 7. Now the Stevenson either way between 355 and DuSable Lakeshore Drive at 44. Outbound at Lamont, a crash blocks the left lane. The Ryan out to 95th and 28. Inbound now on the Chinatown feeder ramp, a crash. 95th back in at 18. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBadges.
Lowe's Provember event is back, and they're thanking pros like you all month long with top values on pro brands like DeWalt and Spyder, online or in stores through November 24th. Lowe's, the new home for pros, U.S. only.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
All of us can use some advice on how to get in shape. Sean Birch is a fitness and motivation expert and a multiple world record holder in extreme sports events.
It has to be like a lifestyle change. If you want to get in shape at anything, if you want to lose 10 pounds or you want to do like a half marathon, it has to be a mental thing. You have to find out what your goals and your dreams are in life, your really deep goals and dreams in life. After you've developed those and you know what you're going for, these goals, say, okay, let's get excited about exercise. To me, fitness in America has become a routine. And you have to have the mental, a nutritional program, and a physical program. All three of those things in order to live your life to the utmost fullest.
Sean says instead of constantly dieting, change your lifestyle to include whole foods, all natural and organic foods, fiber and lean protein, clean carbohydrates and essential fats, and of course, exercise. With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez
There's so much that goes on behind closed doors
on WCPT 820.
I hope that you're all having a lovely evening. And let me remind you, because when it gets darker, it's harder to hear us on the terrestrial radios. Make sure that you've got go to WCPT820.com and you can listen to us. You can stream us on Facebook. And while you're there, like the page so you can find out when we go live, the great conversations that we have, events, giveaways, all those things. And also on YouTube. And speaking of social media, I have to say, I've been scrolling through our guests' TikTok for like the last couple weeks, ever since she told me about it because I never was on TikTok until Kasia from Kasia's Bridals. Am I saying your first name? I know I've asked you before. Come closer to your microphone.
Think Tasha?
Hold on. I don't have the right mic. There it is. Go ahead. Try again.
Think Tasha?
Think Tasha.
But it's Kasia.
Kasia.
Yes, Kasia's Bridal.
Which is it Kathy in?
Kathy in Polish.
In Polish. So you told me that you had put Kasia's Bridals on TikTok. You'd started it last year during the pandemic, which was how we met because you reached out to me. You are so energetic and enthusiastic about what you do. You're like, hey, I see what you're doing on social media. I want to be a part of that. So thank you, first of all. You reached out.
Thank you. Are you kidding?
Thank you.
The opportunities that you create are incredible. And I think the community needs to recognize that more because it's not just us trying to get our things out there. You have things to say, and I think that counts. It's valuable because you're not just out there for yourself. You're out there for the entire community. So
I love my neighborhood.
That I can see that. It's like pumping like blood through you. I'm not kidding.
I love my Northwest Side. I did because of you, I've made now 3 TikTok videos.
And I liked all of them.
Thank you very much. I need those because I just started. But I'm not doing a lot of myself yet. I'm just sort of doing images of the businesses I love. First of all, you had done this allergy-friendly, family-friendly event for Halloween.
It was great.
It was an amazing thing.
We had like 100 kids at least come out. The only thing that stunk, usually I like to take a picture of every group of kids that comes in, but we were bombarded. Thank you very much. I'm blessed for that. Bombarded with brides that day. And because we're short-staffed, I was in both buildings. So at one point, I had my son manning the candy, and then he didn't know what the candy was. I'm like, are you letting trick-or-treaters out of here without candy? Are you nuts? So I called my mom. I go, Mom, you got to be up here because my son clearly is not capable of doing this. I don't know what I raised. I love
Don't
him.
even get me started.
I love
They're
him.
smarter in other ways.
Yes, he's so smart.
Yes.
So smart. He went from like the Polish level of Cub Scouts to a Polish level of Boy Scouts now.
Oh, it's exciting.
He crossed the bridge, I guess they call it. It was kind of crazy.
Like a ceremony, like
it was
a secret
cool.
handshake.
Well, no, it was like the sword thing and everything.
Oh.
It was pretty nuts. I got video. I'll show you later.
That's fancy. I want to see that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I love that.
Yeah, it was. It was nice to see as a mom because with the business lately, we've been so busy. We have so many little things going on right now and trying to help the community and so on and so forth. I am taken out of the family life a little bit.
Right.
So I just missed his red belt testing.
In martial arts? What type of martial arts?
He's in Taekwondo.
Oh.
So he's got, I think, 2 more levels to a black belt.
Oh, my son's, oh boy, they're in the car right now probably listening to me get this wrong. Kenpo?
Possibly.
Kenpo, sure.
I've heard of something.
He's like a blue belt.
Yeah. So I've noticed the blue belt in different types of martial arts mean different levels. Things. Yeah.
I think it's pretty high. He's been taking it since he was 5. Don't you love
having
your kid in martial arts?
Mine's been in it since 3.
Yeah. Oh!
Yeah, he's 10 now.
What inspired you to get him involved in martial arts at a young age?
Me being bullied.
Yes.
I said, you are not gonna be in that position.
100%.
And I don't know if anyone, I don't want to catch flack for this, but quite frankly, I said, you never start a fight, but you make sure you finish it. Okay. And my kid's not a fighter.
Right.
We just had an incident the other day. Not a fighting thing. It's not something that he should have put his hands on anybody, and he didn't. Right. I'm very proud of the way he handled himself. But at the same rate, I feel that if it was made today, and if I was there to see it, it would have been different. So I'm glad that I felt comfortable knowing that if something like that were to happen, he knows how to handle himself. But I told him, and even his sensei said that, listen, if you ever in a situation at school where you have to defend yourself with the tools that I gave you in our classes, and the school tries to get you in trouble, you call me in and he'll defend us.
Yeah.
So I'm so confident in this, in not just our school, but also in what he's learned and how he can defend himself. So
that's smart.
Yeah, it's unfortunate our kids have to know these things, but you know what? I'm not going to let him be defenseless or scared.
Right.
Because I was scared for a long time until high school. I actually got into a fist fight, and that's when I ended it. It stopped. But should I have been put in that position to fight? I mean, they say girls don't fight. Girls are sometimes worse than boys.
Well, I'm with you. First of all, where did you grow up?
I was all over. I was born and raised in Chicago. We moved into the suburbs. Believe it or not, that happened in the suburbs. And so there's no good and bad of anything. Everywhere, if there's riffraff, there's riffraff.
Right.
You know, it's just how it's going to be. The point is that you just need to, I think, empower your children. give them the self-esteem and give them the tools to be able to defend themselves when you're not there. I don't want to be that helicopter mom. I can't be.
Right.
That's why I felt so bad, like when I miss all this stuff with him. But at the same rate, I know that wherever I can be, I'm always there first in line with the camera, embarrassing him. At least he's not embarrassed yet, but soon he will be, I think.
So with Griffin and martial arts, I've noticed a few years ago, I mean, his reflexes are crazy good. Like if he gets surprised, he will, like, if I come up behind him and put my hand on his shoulder, he'll like whip around and like I'm in some sort of weird hold. My son's 18 now. So
see, maybe that's what it is. At 10, we're still working on some of that, but I think at his level, he'd be okay.
Yeah. It's really I really encourage parents who've thought about it to try it out, see if your child responds to it. Griffin really loves it.
And every school is different. Remember, not every school is for everybody.
Yes.
I have friends that were in the same school as we were, and they moved on to different schools, and their kids are thriving there. Well, we've had kids come into the school that we're at, and they prefer it here. So it just, don't give up on it just because you don't like the particular school you're in. It's just like regular school. If you don't like the way they teach, go to another school, but do not let that not empower your children or give your children the power to defend themselves. They need to have that in them.
It's about confidence.
Absolutely.
Because I struggled a lot with bullies in grade school. And to the point where, I mean, I've taught to kids that I transferred out of the first school where I was really, it was bad. And when I went to a parochial school. My parents pulled me out. They had gone to the school. Someday you and I will talk about it. And we could talk about it on the air, but it was bad. And
parochial school.
I went to parochial. I went to Lutheran.
I did too.
Yeah.
I went K through 3. I was at St. Hyacinth's.
Oh.
And we didn't have a problem with school. That's why I'm saying parochial school. I can't believe that it happened there.
No, what I'm saying is I went to a public school first, from kindergarten through 5th grade. I went to Onahan, where it's bad. And when I was so defensive by the time I transferred to Our Savior Lutheran. I mean, I have been as outspoken as I can. I mean, I don't let people do that. And by the time I got to high school, I didn't put up with stuff, and I got in a fight. Like you said, I got in a full on fist fight.
Yourself.
And it was with a guy. Actually, I got in this big fight with. He came over. He was picking on somebody who was developmentally challenged at Lane, and I just said leave him alone. And he turned on me and he was smoking a cigarette and said, and he said this. He goes, "My clothes, I'll never forget this. My clothes are worth more than your parents pay in rent," which is so incredibly specific.
Patty, where is he today? Have you looked him up? Have you looked him up? I've looked up my bullies. I've looked up my bullies.
And he put his hand on my face.
Oh no!
He blew smoke in my face. He put hand on my face, shoved my head, and
imagine what's happening in that home, though. For him to...
That's exactly what I've thought of, too.
I hate to blame parents because I'm a parent myself. It's not always the parents, but for it to get to that point, look at all the points, all the red flags you just said. Smoking at school, showing off, pointing out his things that his parents probably bought him.
Yeah.
Okay, his clothes, whatever, and then my outfit's more... Please, bring that boy to me now. Let's talk.
And you mentioned that I have like the Northwest Side flowing through my veins. I want to mention for folks who are listening, we're doing a Neighbor Patty segment talking about businesses in the community. If you have a business, I'm not just the neighbor on the Northwest Side, I'm your neighbor. If you have a business in your community you would like me to highlight and amplify and make sure people know about, do not hesitate to reach out. You can message me. You can send a message to pattyv@withkindwords.com. And you have a new social media platform to add to it now, too. My 3 TikTok videos, one of which features the businesses that you joined with. And yesterday I posted one for Percolator.
I saw that. They
right
have
across.
Hours.
Yeah, they're open till 3 p.m. And you were celebrating 20 years with
20
with
years.
Kasia Bridal.
We're kicking it off this weekend with the celebration. It's kind of been like slow moving because I wanted to do it right. If you're going to do it, don't do little things here and there. Do one big thing, make it count. And that's what we're doing. So we're kicking off this weekend with a big event where we're selling tickets for just so we can kind of crowd control. And we are serving mimosas. And it's a very private event. We're only letting in 2 brides in their groups at a time. There's still tickets left. I mean, a lot of the hours that we have scheduled through Eventbrite, you can go to our website, kasiasbridal.com. And I have a little blurb there. With every gown that we sell, starting this weekend, I already started counting them, to be honest with you. November 1st, I started counting them. But this weekend should be big for us in the sense of we have a lot more stock that came into the store. that's still coming in. I got boxes my mom just told me that just came in of gowns. I got like chills just thinking about it. I can't wait because I'm going to run out of hangers. I'm so happy. And we're putting them all out on clearance just to make girls happy with like tighter budgets, micro weddings, or if you just don't want to spend a ton of money on your dress, you know. And with every dress that we sell, we're donating to the Chicago Greater Foods Depository.
Yes. For
the holiday season, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or Kwanzaa or oh my gosh, Hanukkah, whoever's celebrating whatever, however, something, or if you're just hungry, I want you to have a meal. And if we can in some way help those people get meals, I'm all in that.
It's our neighbors.
So,
those are our neighbors.
Absolutely.
That's the whole idea.
And when girls hear that they can purchase a gown for cheap, and then on top of it still help, oh my God, everyone's all up in that, you know, and they love it.
I love how much you're in love with the work that you do. That's you. I mean, it shows through not just in this conversation that we're having, and not just on the TikTok videos where you tell these incredible stories. She tells. I mean, the one I just watched recently was about animals in the shop, and it was so sweet. You were talking about your Yorkies and how you
have silkies.
I'm sorry, silkies. And how your pooches, and that somebody had written a review saying that they didn't appreciate, dogs are erratic and all these things.
Yes,
and you never
they're
know.
Unpredictable is the word that was used.
Yes. And how big are silkies? Like 6 pounds?
The dogs will show you where the DVD player is in our house. Okay, these are my dogs. They will welcome in the thieves. And so my point is that I know not all animals are good around people. I get it. But it's my shop, and I felt like, how people have cats that in their shops, which I think have allergens too, but it's their shop.
Oh, they shed a lot.
Yeah, my dogs don't shed. I wouldn't be able to survive I couldn't be in the house with them if they shed, But that's fine. If it upset a client, it only takes one.
Right.
And I stop bringing them.
And you adjust.
That's it. Because I don't want my clients to be upset. But when people bring dogs to my shop, okay, it's one thing when they're service animals, and I get it.
Sure.
And but you can tell a service animal from a distance. You don't have to have a mark. They walk a different way. I want to say they bark a different way. They talk a different way. But they're not, service animals are not like a regular dog. They will not jump on you. They will sit in one place. They'll sit by their owner. So when someone comes in and blows smoke up my you-know-what and tells me they're a service dog and your dog is jumping out and all over a wedding dress.
And piddling. I heard you on your TikTok video.
Oh, boy.
We could say piddling, right? Can't we say? I'm not going to say it again, but I feel like I've said it too many times already. But making wee on your...
Yeah, and it's my dresses are couture. I don't buy junk.
You have stunning dresses.
Thank you.
I really do. I love that. So let's go back to this for a second. So you not only love what you do and the customers that you work with, but you have such a wonderful way of making it feel accessible for everyone. You have a model that you featured recently that I saw.
Cassie, if you're listening, we love you. Jules, if you're listening, we love you.
Stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
I love what you do. Let me take a break here. Roosevelt, if you will be patient, I will make you the last call, but when we in the next segment before I hang up for the evening. Mm-hmm. We are in studio with Kasia Bridal. Go to KasiaBridals.com. Is that right?
Kasia'sBridal.com.
Kasia's Bridal. I put the S in the right place.
Yes.
Kasia'sBridal.com.
Exactly.
KASIAS Bridal.com.
Perfect.
More in a moment with our good friend Kasia. Because I just used a beautiful name. You can call her Kathy, I guess.
Patty,
I've seen people call her Kathy, but whatever, they're wrong.
Whatever, it's okay.
They're not wrong. They're lovely, too.
I'll take both.
All right. Back in a moment on WCPT 820. We're driving it home. It's Neighbor Patty. Please let me know what businesses you love.
Finding the right Medicare plan may feel impossible, but now it's anything but. With Walgreens Find RX coverage tool, you can compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, making Medicare easier than ever. Easier than picking which true crime doc to watch, figuring out that Wi-Fi password, or putting the duvet cover back on. So if you can do those things, with Find RX coverage, you can definitely Medicare. Find the plan that's right for you by visiting walgreens.com/Medicare.
I'm Dr. Andrea Russo, a cardiologist. Maybe you're waiting to talk to your doctor right now. But if you're having an irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, don't wait. This could be a serious condition like atrial fibrillation, which can make you about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you're having these symptoms, don't wait. Talk to a doctor by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer. Hi everyone, it's me, Tooth 19. I can't believe I'm watching my brother, Tooth 30, get his first root canal today. I told him that black hole didn't look pretty. It got so painful it kept all 32 of us up last night, in agony. Thank goodness Total Dentistry could see him right away. Oh, there's the needle. But wait, he didn't even flinch. I thought a root canal would be much worse. My brother, Tooth 30, is sleeping through all of this. The Total Dentistry team makes this look so easy and simple. Maybe it's because they do this every day. Well, my brother 30 is done now, and he doesn't even remember a thing. Maybe now we can all get a good night's rest. I love Total Dentistry because they know teeth are people too. Total Dentistry, 847-358-2477, or visit totaldentistry.org. Total Dentistry, a general dental practice like no other.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
There's so much that goes on behind closed doors.
On WCPT 820.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. Oh, by the way, tomorrow we have our labor panel show with Tom Hartman and Joan Esposito starting at 4 o'clock. So make sure you're tuning in to hear our conversation. Join our conversation about workers' rights and what the state of the labor unions are across the country. Joining me in studio is Kasia from Kasia's Bridal.
Kasia's Bridal, yeah.
Yeah.
I got it. Kasia's Bridal and Special Occasion Boutique.
It's special occasion. One of the reasons I love the profile of the women that you model your bridal dresses is I think I told you this years and years and years ago at the Merchandise Mart. I was a bridal model. And at the time I was in my 20s, and I'm 5'6". I had to wear very high heels in order, because the dresses are so long.
So that's 5'9" minimum.
Right. Now, yeah. So I was the off the rack size at the time, right? So
what's that like?
It was a size. I was in my 20s. But what I love, I've thought about that. I'm like, I don't weigh that much anymore. What I love is, what is that? What I love is that now the industry has changed and become more realistic, because a lot of women think that I can't get married until I lose weight. I can't get my dress. I've got to lose all this weight.
Well, it's really hard because the size charts were not changed the way our ready-to-wear is changed. And that's a misconception about bridal. They're like, oh, your sizes are so small. No, they just haven't changed since like the 1940s.
Yes.
And like, I have styles in my store that are still active styles from when I opened my shop 20 years ago. They have just now either added extra colors, adjusted the size chart, because now we have new size charts since I want to say 8 years ago. And they just raised the prices on us because everything's inflated 500, 800% since 20 years ago that we've opened my shop. So the point is that if they were to change their size charts the way ready-to-wear changes, none of our dresses would be consistent. A size 8 would be 85 different sizes. They would, and that's the thing. With ready-to-wear, once they, say you go to a department store and you find a top that you love and it's a size 12. And they run out of size 12s, they're not going to go and reorder that size. They're just going to discontinue that line of tops until they finish it. And then they destroy that marker that they originally used to make that item, that article of clothing. And then next season, depending on what the marketing stats are when it comes down to sizing and how big or how small a country is, or whoever is buying for that country. Notice there's 4 or 5 different sizes on some of these tops, and on clothing in general. There's a U.S. size, UK size, all kinds of sizes, and each one is represented different. I just bought into a Ukrainian collection where a size 12 is considered plus size.
Oh my God.
Shoot me. I don't even know what to say. So I had to come up with a whole plan as to how I'm going to not make my size 12 brides feel porky, because that's what they're trying to make us do. So I'm not going to I don't even charge for plus sizes in most cases. So most of my designers don't, because now they've standardized the collection in a way, but you still have that handful that adheres to European size charts and standards, So
it's so frustrating.
But that's the thing. It's a road that I have to first kind of pave, in order for my client to be comfortable in my store.
Yeah.
I never want anyone to feel bad about themselves. And I always say, we don't tattoo the size on your forehead. Just put it on. Let's make sure it works. We rip it out and we put whatever size you want in it. But don't make the size. Don't be defined by the size. You know, we're just trying to find a gown that you fall in love with, that you feel beautiful in, that you feel amazing in. The day that you're going to walk down the aisle in is the most photographed day of your life. And not everyone is, you know, we're not all Instagrammers. We're not all social media fanatics. So you might be Instagrammed and social media that day. But beyond that, like, when do you really photograph yourself that often?
Right.
So you want to look fantastic and feel fantastic and have that memory of how you felt that day in that dress.
Yes.
So don't focus on the damn size.
Yeah,
you know? Don't.
no.
It's so dumb. Don't do that to yourself.
It's hard to really essentially unravel all of that because it's a lifetime of. I remember the first time standing in front of a mirror and hating myself. I was in high school. I hated my body, and it was in part, you know, whether it's somebody in the family, but I had a gym teacher who wasn't. By the way, Mr. Grouperis was not even my gym teacher. He was the volleyball coach and told me I had thunder thighs, and told.
Why did that even come to him to say
to a 15-year-old
today? You know what we could do to him?
Yeah. I weighed 110 pounds when I was in high school, and he said I needed to go running every day to make them leaner.
Thunder thighs meant that you were strong, that you could beat someone. Like, that's me. Look at her. She's throwing me high fives here. She almost jumped over. I'm loving this.
This is what I tell audiences when I do stand-up comedy. I was a softball player and a sprinter. Of course I had big quads, but no one said...
I was a soccer player at cheerleading squad.
Right? That's why we had big quads.
Talk to me. We know exactly what I'm talking about. I know what you're talking about.
We could do this all day. We have to do this again soon because I want to make sure that people know about your celebration. Tell us again about your 20th anniversary.
We are kicking off on Friday. We're selling tickets for this weekend, but we are taking regular appointments for the rest of the month, basically, whatever's available. Every gown that we sell for the month of November into the end of the month, a portion of the sale will go to the Chicago Greater Foods Depository. So we're excited to be able to feed the hungry this year for the holidays, both Thanksgiving and the holidays in December that are coming up.
If you're not, and folks can go to the Chicago Greater, I see, I get this wrong every time too.
I get the
greater
title
in the wrong place.
Chicago Greater Foods Depository or Greater Chicago Food Depository? I think it's Chicago Greater Foods. It's the depository in Chicago where they feed the hungry.
Yes.
How's that?
And go to their website if you're not able to, if you're not in the market for bridal
social
services.
occasion gowns too. Anything we sell, a portion of every sale will go to that organization.
Come get your New Year's Eve on.
Get
your plan now for New Year's Eve because we don't know what supplies are going to be like in
my
December.
God, don't even get me started. That's why I'm preparing with all these gowns because I have a feeling prom is going to stink when it comes down to all these girls haven't gone to prom. This year was also like in limbo. They had outdoor homecomings, you know, so I don't know what's going to happen with this prom. It's going to be either really crazy or people are going to be shopping last minute. So don't wait till last minute. Honest to God, these girls will not get special order dresses. The factories can't get fabric.
It's going to be hard.
When I heard this from 3 sales reps now, I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't buy too heavily into prom because I have so much from this year still. That's continued into this coming year. They didn't discontinue styles really because they didn't get a chance.
Yeah, why would they discontinue them if they couldn't sell them?
So, like, you're not going to be out of style buying something out of stock. So don't hesitate. If you love it in stock, buy it out of stock because ordering you probably won't get it.
So go to kasiasbridal.com, KASIASBRIDAL.com, and again, we'll have you on before the end of the month so we can see how it's going and touch base with you on another Neighbor Patty segment.
Awesome.
I'm putting a clear line for anybody who's interested and is like, I'm not going there. She was on a progressive radio station. Nope, she was on Neighbor Patty during a show on progressive radio, and I want to see what Roosevelt has on his mind before we go. Kasia, thank you so much. Of course, it was lovely to see you, and thank you for the tasty treats too.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope you enjoy them.
Of course. And Roosevelt, what do you want to say, my friend?
Thank you for taking my call. I think it's wonderful that you support small businesses like the young lady that was just on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's great. They need that exposure. They need that extra help. I just wanted to see what you thought about all this thing with Ocasio-Cortez. How they've been threatening her through the 4 years of Trump. He directed a lot of animosity towards the squad and basically called them a bunch of foreigners when I think there's only one that wasn't born in the United States, but they're all American citizens. And this is good. It makes me think of when all this started. Well, not started, but when it really we were aware of it. And that's with Sarah Palin. Remember, she drew all those on a map. She drew all the
targets,
the cross,
crosshairs,
the crosshairs. So if these people, and now you got Marjorie Taylor Greene threatening the 13 Republicans that voted for the better, what is it, the Biden's better plan.
Build back. Yep.
When does this stop? I mean, look how far down they become to the point that they physically threaten people, and not to mention all the stuff that Taylor Greene pulled when she was protesting outside Ocasio-Cortez's office and all that,
taunting her, and it's the othering of people, don't you think? They're the problem. They're the ones threatening you. This is why you should be afraid, and that's a lot of what they do. I've got to,
and that's what, and they hide under religion and the Second Amendment, because that's not what the Second Amendment was. I seen a commercial that she did with she was in back of a pickup truck.
Yeah.
And she had this powerful weapon and shot this car.
Yeah, they feel powerful, and that's their MO. Roosevelt, I have to run for the night. I apologize, but thank you so much for hanging in there.
There'll be other times.
Absolutely, of course. Have a great night, and I agree.
Thank you. You too, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course, have a great night. And it's the Chicago's foodbank.org for the Greater Chicago Food Depository. So go to chicagosfood.org, food bank, chicagosfoodbank.org to donate if you, that's the organization that Kasia's Bridal is
Isn't that what it is?
Yeah. That's their website, and it's Greater Chicago Food Depository.
Yes.
So help our neighbors this holiday season. Have a great evening, everyone. The Rick Unger Show is up next. Don't forget, we have our labor panel tomorrow. Tom Hartman will be the moderator for the forum. Jonas Bazito and I will also be on that show having great conversation about workers' rights in this country and where we need to go. Have a great night.
O'Reilly. Don't miss See Better, Drive Safer month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase a pair of select wiper blades. Our professional